Dave took a slow drag on his cigarette and exhaled as he continued.
Creative intelligence is the energy of love, wisdom, and creativity. Because you and I come from this powerful creative force, we too are powerful creative beings. However, most people don't know how to utilize their own creative abilities, which is what the mala teaches.
A butterfly fluttered over Dave's robe and landed on the left sleeve, directly between the two men. Dave and Robbie paused in awe of the insect's grace and beauty. A minute later, after it had fluttered away, the father and son looked at each other in amazement.
See, son? That's the universe's way of getting our attention. It's called coincidence. This is one of the 4 ways creative intelligence communicates with us. It's attempting to bring our focus into the present moment to emphasize that our conversation is important.
Wow, Dad. You're freaking me out here. I've never heard you talk like this before. I didn't know you were so religious.
I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about the place where science and spirituality meet. Some call it metaphysics. Others even call it being spiritual but not religious. Whatever you choose to call it, we're all connected to an invisible force of infinite creation, although only a few people are aware of it, and even fewer know how it works.
Robbie was now wide-eyed and sitting up straight on the concrete bench. At that moment, a crow landed on a birdbath in front of them for about 15 seconds. The crow cawed and then flew away. Robbie turned to his father with a look of surprise and said, "Well, that was weird." He shook his head from side to side and then continued, "I must admit, you've made me curious. Is this knowledge how you accumulated all your wealth, Dad?" He blushed a little after he said it. Dave blew out a puff of smoke as he laughed. His shoulders dropped, his head cocked to the side, and he took in a deep breath of fresh air while trying to decide how to answer the question. Then he said,
"Yes, Robbie. The mala taught me how to use the creative force to attract wealth. There's no question about that. Yet it taught me a lot more than that. The mala also taught me how to create good relationships, how to recognize the blessings in my life, how to make the best of my circumstances regardless of what happens, and how to attain inner peace in a chaotic world. Money is wonderful, and our accumulation of money is a fine way to monitor our success at using our own powers of creation. But money is merely one of life's unlimited gifts that we can use the mala to attain."
Robbie's mind was racing. "Why haven't you told me this stuff before?"
Well, one reason is that you never asked.
I never knew to ask. I never knew you had this knowledge. Dave stared at a pink rose growing next to him in the courtyard.
That's half the problem. We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. I guess that's it. So where do we begin? My mind is filling up with questions. Dave looked Robbie straight in the eyes.
I'll tell you what. You take that mala home, read the manual, and follow the steps it gives you. After you've done what the manual teaches, I'll answer any questions you have. Deal?
Okay, that's a deal, said Robbie. Dave took one last puff, then crushed the cigarette butt between his thick, tobacco-stained fingers so it turned into tiny little bits of tobacco that disappeared as he sprinkled them into the dirt below his wheelchair. He took the filter and whatever white paper was left and dropped it into his cigarette pack, then stuffed the pack into his robe pocket.
Now get me back inside, Robbie. All this fresh air might kill me,
he said with a chuckle. He put his feet on the pedals and tapped the side of the chair to signal he was ready.
Take me to my castle,
he ordered playfully. Robbie pushed him forward, and the glass doors opened automatically. As they entered the hospital, Robbie's senses were once again filled with the institutional odors and lighting he so despised. Back at room 305, Dave slowly and painfully crawled off the wheelchair and back into bed with Robbie's assistance. Once his father was settled, Robbie pulled out the hockey puck from his jacket pocket. Remember this, Dad? Robbie handed the puck to Dave. Dave's eyes became misty the moment he saw it. He took it from Robbie and held it in his hand, admiring it.
That brings back memories. I'll never forget that night. We had fun, didn't we?
We sure did. We ate pizza between periods, and you gave me a sip of your beer. Dave laughed.
That's right. I remember. You almost choked.
It wasn't as good as everyone made it seem. Dave handed the puck back to Robbie. I remember you took a picture of me and Gretzky that night, said Robbie. I think it used to be on the wall across from your desk. Do you know where that is now? Dave was silent for a moment, staring into nowhere. Then he looked at Robbie.
I think that's in a frame in the basement, still in front of my desk. You should definitely get that and put it in your house. It's good to have things around that remind you of good times. You still have a key, right?
Yes, on my keychain.
Well, water the plants while you're there, will you? I don't think my neighbor gets to it often enough.
Robbie stood up and put on his jacket to signal he was leaving. By the way, my friend Matt says hello. The two men hugged before Robbie headed toward the door.
Matt. He's the big one. He's a nice kid. I always liked him. I used to run into him every now and then. Guess I haven't been getting out like I used to.
Well, he's 32 now. Just like me. Dave laughed.
You'll both always be kids to me,
he added.
Make sure to bring that lovely wife of yours next time, okay?